Hello and welcome. This is Live with Vickie, and we're here live on YouTube and Facebook. We also take all of the audios and put them up on all the podcast platforms, so you can take us with you wherever you go. Whether you're driving in the car or you're walking your dog, all you have to do is plug in your phone, and you can listen to us every single week. So welcome, everyone, and hello, Vickie and Gerard. Good day.
Hello, Marianne. How are
Hello.
you?
I'm doing very
Hello,
well.
everyone.
I'm excited to talk about the senior solutions that you all have. And I'm excited to meet you, Jared. This is the first time.
Well, thank you. Likewise, Miss LaSalle.
Oh, he called me Miss
And
LaSalle.
Vickie,
I
thanks a
like
lot for having me.
that.
Hi, Gerard. Thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. Thank you. Thanks for
You're
having me.
not a problem. Well, you have some information that I'm sure our audience would want to hear about. So, I was delighted that you said that you would come on and pass it on. So, and when we get to that point, you're going to be on the spot. All right.
I'm
Thank
really
you.
happy that we're going to be talking about retirement planning because that's about where I am right now. So my ears are perked along with most of the other people that are listening. We
Yeah.
want to know how we can retire and still feel comfortable and not fearful,
Right,
right?
right, right. So when we're ready for retirement, when we're getting ready for retirement, most people, start thinking about retirement around 55, 60. Well, that's a little late, if
It
you're,
is?
it is a little late,
Oh, darn.
you really should. Well, because you're building for retirement, you need to basically start building for retirement. And as far as your funds and being comfortable and having income when you retire, remember the whole point of retirement is so you don't go back to work. So you want to have enough funds to be able to retire comfortably, the way keep your lifestyle, whatever it may be, and be able to have income coming in, to last the duration of your life. We no longer, most people these days, lifespans are, in the 90s, God willing. So you want to have enough income to last you through your retirement. So you really should start planning really in your 30s. When you start really making, your, working and whatever, you should start putting away for your retirement. We're not going to go into all the tools today as far as what you should be, as far as the tools you're going to be using to build your wealth for retirement. But we'll touch on them and what they are, and we will talk about the things that you need to start thinking about when you get ready to retire. And there are three building blocks of retirement. One is your income, of course, two is Social Security, and then three are your financial tools that that you have at their disposal, such as 401ks, IRAs, even your savings account, and things like that. But those are your building blocks for retirement, and you really should start thinking about how you're going to integrate and what you're going to put away and things like that. So number one thing you want to do, and this is for people who are already retired or even a couple of years away, go to Social Security. You can go online or whatever and look and see what your Social Security is going to be.
Right now, because of COVID, you can only go online. They're not
Right.
letting you in. So I took your advice
Hmm.
and I went to Social Security on the website, and it's not enough to live on, okay? Darn. They
Well,
were right.
yeah, Social Security is not built for you to live on it.
Darn.
A lot of people think that Social Security is going to be my retirement. That's not your.
Security, hello. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, those days are gone. So but you still should look to see what your Social Security, what you're going to get from Social Security, so you can build on that. That's one building block for retirement. The next thing is, if you've been working for a company for a while, is to look at your pension. Review your pension from your company with one of the, I guess, HR reps there, so you'll know what your pension is going to be as well. Okay, so Social Security, make sure you go check it out. And then 2, review with your HR rep with your company about the pension plan for those who have that. Now, most people, I wouldn't say most people, but some people don't have a pension. You have Social Security, and that's why they depend on Social Security for their retirement. But you shouldn't, and you really should start putting money away. I'm not going to tell you how much. That's a whole different session. But you should start putting money away in some type of tool that's going to make money for you, such as 401ks, IRAs, IULs, things like that. There's so many financial tools that you can use to make your money grow by through different means. Okay, so you want your money to grow, so you put it away, even if it's just a savings account. Put something away. Get into a routine of putting something away once a month. They pretty much advise between $200 to $500 a month. You should try to put away in some type of financial tool that's going to grow your money. Okay, and I really want to sit down with a financial advisor or planner and take those, or even you can do your research and everything like that. But the best thing to do is to go to someone who's an expert at it. Don't just go think you can do this on your own, but go to someone who's an expert at it. You can still do your your homework, but go to someone who's an expert at it and find out what's going to be the best tool for you to use to make your money grow. Because once you retire, you don't want to have to go back to work. Okay, you want to have income that's going to be streaming in for you for the rest of your life. Okay, now that's your income part. Now the other part of retirement is actually the cost and things that you should do during retirement. Okay, or plan for retirement. Now, one of the biggest costs that people don't think about is healthcare. Okay, healthcare, taking care of your health. Especially as we get older, you need to invest in some type of healthcare plan as you get older. And when I say healthcare, Medicare takes care of a lot. However, Medicare, only covers 80%, and you have to handle the 20%. So you need to look at, which how are you going to cover the 20% you're going to be required to take care of. Okay, but my cat's in here. Okay, you need to look at how you're going to cover the 20%, and there are different ways to do that as well.
We like cats, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
my Bubba thinks everybody loves him. So
we do. We love him very much.
Especially me. I'm glad he's not.
And he's happy that you have a retirement so you can get fed and
yes.
get toys. And
this is true.
Yes.
yes. So I mean, in that whole planning, like I said, in this whole planning, you want to basically write out, when you're talking about bringing in income and how much you want, you have to look at your cost. And so, what are your daily expenses? What debt do you have? But like I jumped and said, healthcare is one of the expenses you really need to look at, and because that usually takes a lot of people's, retirement funds if something should happen to you and you don't have the right coverage. Because Medicare, like I said, only covers 80% of your healthcare, and that's your daily health. We're not talking about the next topic, long-term care. As we get older, I know some of us have children, but some of us don't. But we can't rely on our kids to take care of us.
What? What do you mean we can't rely on our kids? Isn't that why I had them?
I know a lot of people.
What about the grandkids? Will they take care of me?
I know a lot of people think about that, but it's like, yeah, my children are going to take care of it. But do you really want to burden your kids with, taking care of you?
Oh, man, I do.
All right. I know I took care of my mom. It wasn't a burden to me, or anything like that. I took care of my mom, but you're
right.
When you look down the line, your children, may have families of their own. So you want to free up as much time as you want them to have quality life. They love you. You want to make sure that, you continue to love them back by taking care of some of the things that you should take care of. And long-term care is not we're not talking about putting you away, putting you in a nursing home or something
Yes,
like
you
that.
are. I know you are.
No, 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 no. Long-term care is actually having the ability to be able to have someone come into your home and basically assist you as you get older. Okay, that's long-term care. So, investing in long-term care, because there are different long-term care policies. It is insurance and it's not covered under Medicare. Many people think, oh, Medicare, that's a part of Medicare. That is not a part of Medicare. Long-term care is not a part of Medicare. Long-term care is on you. So if you don't have any kids like myself, I don't have children. I have nieces and nephews, and I have grandchildren, or I should say grand nieces and nephews. But I'm looking at long-term care. So when I get to like when I'm 85 and 90, I'm probably going to need some help. That's just how I'm looking at it. I'm probably going to need some help. So long-term care insurance, you want to look at that as well. Now, you guys have any questions about that? Two of you at all?
Absolutely, Gerard. If you have something, I'd be happy to chime in.
No, absolutely not. I'm just taking taking it all in. Some great information, Miss Owens.
Okay. Yeah. Now the other thing I want to talk about is we need to look at is, I know everybody has debt. We have debt in some form or another. And we really need, when we get closer to retirement, removing that debt. So while we're still in our working years, stop spending so much. Okay. You can still enjoy your life, but budget it. Basically, when we get older, when we start hitting 50, 55, we really should start looking at decreasing our debt in preparation for retirement. In other words, that mortgage payment you have, you want to try to basically get rid of. You want if you're planning on retiring in your home, you really want to not have a mortgage payment when you retire. Or any other debt, that basically is going to be a burden to you to pay when you retire and you're on a fixed budget. So we want to really start planning and looking at that.
Right.
Okay. Now,
yeah, Vickie, before we go on, I just want to remind everyone that we are live and you can ask questions. You can make comments and questions. There is a little box, whether you're on YouTube or on Facebook, there is a place for you to ask questions. So I know that the panel here is definitely willing to answer any questions that you might have for retirement planning. And I also know that because you have senior solutions, it's more than just what we're talking about here today. Right. So as you're thinking about retiring, all the different aspects that come into play are something that they have in common, okay, that they have researched. Like we have a friend who helps you try to stay in your home, right? He'll come in and adjust your bathroom so that you don't slip. He'll, the grab bars, and there's a lot that goes into it. So I don't want everyone to think that just what we're talking about today is all you have to do for retirement planning.
Right. That is true. It's a lot that goes into it, and you really need to start to look at planning. It's just like, just living day to day. We have budgets, we have this, and we're planning, even if we're planning to go on vacation or whatever, you should start taking a, inventory of what it is how you want to live so you can plan accordingly. And then seek out experts in those fields to assist you. So I know a lot of people like to do it yourself, but when it comes down to your money and planning ahead, you really want to seek out credible, financial planners that will assist you in, getting your money in the best place to grow. There are a lot of them out there and different, thought process on it, but when it comes down to it, it's really dollars and cents and math. you know, time times money, you're going to get your wealth. So, it does, takes time for your money to grow. So you want to start as early as you can when it comes to building your wealth for retirement. I know we kind of went back to that part, but it's very important. Now, the last thing we're going to talk about is your legacy. If there are no questions about, the things we've talked about so far, as far as budgeting, things that you really need to put into the cost of retirement, such as Medicare, long-term care. The last thing we're going to talk about is your legacy. If you are already retired, or you're a couple years and you've done everything that we talked about, then you really want to, sit down and think about what's going to be your footprint, when you leave, as far as your family. What do you want to leave to your children who might have been the ones taking care of you since you didn't get long-term care? Okay. Your grandkids and things like that. So you really want to have a will in place. You want, when you're doing your financial, discovery and planning or whatever, you want to include that in there as far as the legacy, what you're going to leave for your kids. But you definitely want to have a will in place and something that tells your loved ones what your wishes are, and at the same time, leaving something for them. Now, that's where our guest is here. He's going to talk about wills, okay? Wills and, planning wills and different avenues to get your wills done. If you haven't had a will, you haven't had your will done, you really need to get one done. I don't care really how old you are. It's a good thing to start thinking about that. But Gerard Charles, he is CEO of Gerard Charles International. He's the executive director and independent associate for Legal Shields. He's been doing this how long, Gerard? 15 years?
15 years, yes.
15 years. And so he's pretty much an expert when it comes to avenues to basically and preparing for your will. So Gerard, thanks again for coming on the show. And I'm going to give you your time right now. You have about 10 minutes.
Absolutely, Miss Owens. Thank you very much for having me on, and Miss LaSalle, thank you very much for having me on. I'm very excited about sharing some information with your viewers, and also take some questions towards the end. And I'm excited about sharing this information. I'm very fortunate to I run a company called Gerard Charles International, CEO of that company, and about 15 years ago, I was able to introduce the Legal Shield, and it's been amazing where I've been able to help a lot of small businesses, help a lot of individuals with our great services. But let me make a couple disclaimers real quick. I'm not an attorney. It's very important. I'm not here as a spokesman for Legal Shield. I'm an independent associate. Some of the things I want to show you today, don't take it as legal advice. It's very important. Definitely want to contact your attorney for any additional information. So my topic is really will. So as I was listening to Ms. Owens, just planning in general, just planning your legacy, like she says, just planning your estate, retirement, those things are very important. And one of my mentors told me years ago, says most people plan the vacation, spend more time planning the vacation than they plan their life in general. So I think it's so important to be able to plan, what's going to happen no longer here. So a couple of things I'm going to actually talking points I'm going to talk about is really why having a will. And so what I've found in the past 15 years working with this great company, really having a will is very important. And we like to say it's going to be the last love letter you're going to leave for your family. And so if you don't have a will, the state is going to have one for you. And we like to tell people, whatever the state have for you, you may not like it. And if you don't have a will, of course, you're not going you're going to have someone to execute your will. The state is going to, depends on your locality, is going to appoint an administrator to execute your will. And that person could be a complete stranger. So that's why it's so important to be able to have a will. And really, by statistics, it says 7 out of 10 Americans don't have a will. And I kind of dig into it a little bit and find out why don't people have a will. And there's a joke that says people don't have a will because they think they're going to die. So therefore, they don't take the time to have a will. Another reason people don't have a
They
will,
don't
they
think
think
they're
it's
going to
very,
die?
they don't think, let me just back up for a second. They don't want, if they think if they have a will,
They're gonna die.
then that day is going to come a little faster. So I'm just going to rephrase. They don't think they're going to die, but they think that they don't want to somehow accelerate the process. So
Like
they
life
think if they're going to get their will done, I mean, that time is going to come a little sooner. I really don't think that's the case. So, my belief is when your time comes, it's going to be your time. The men upstairs really decide that. So, and another reason people don't have a will, they think it's very time consuming. And recently, my wife and I did our will, and we've done it a couple times over the years, and we just pick a day. We pick a Saturday and decide, okay, we don't leave the kitchen table until we completely finish. So we took a couple hours, we took a break to have breakfast and lunch and get our will done. It was done. And, of course, utilizing with Legal Shield, the will got back to me, I had it notarized and witnessed, and boom, it's done. And I could tell you, I'm sleeping a lot better because my will is done. So having that document is very important. Now, one of the other questions people say, well, can you do your own will? Well, I mean, there's people who do their own will. I mean, there's a lot of different will kits out there. You can actually do your own will. But the other question I ask people, why would you want to take that chance? Remember what I said earlier, is the last love letter you're going to leave for your family. Why you want to take that chance? So I think utilizing an attorney to get a will done, I think that's very important. I think you cut out maybe errors that having a professional do a will for you. One of the other things people says, do you need an attorney to do your will? Not to be biased because I work for a company that provide legal services, I think utilizing an attorney is very important. You're going to be certain the will is going to be done correctly. Now, what's in the will? So there is really 4 major documents that's in the will. Okay, so you have the will itself. You're going to have the living will, the medical power of attorney, and a financial power of attorney. Now, why is the living will is very important? And I remember just recently, my wife and I was, getting our will notarized and have it witnessed and signed. Part of my will, I stated my living will. So if something should happen and the doctor cannot do anything else, I want to make sure they made me just go very slowly, with no painful. That was my wishes. And then so when my wife was, checking hers off, we didn't really share information. So afterwards, she says, well, what did you select? I said, well, I want to make sure that I said, I want to make sure if there's nothing else a doctor can do, just make me die comfortably. She says, that's not what I select. She said, I select keep me alive as long as possible. Try everything you can. She says, and then she says, why don't you tell me to choose what you? I said, honey, it's not about me. It's what you wanted. So if you don't have a will and living will in place, then somebody's going to decide what your wishes are. So that document is very important. Okay. The other thing you want to have is that medical power of attorney, so someone can make a decision on your behalf should you unable to. So that's another document that's very important. And also that financial power of attorney that's going to allow somebody to kind of handle your finances while you're still there. You just somehow cannot make a decision for yourself. So those 4 documents is very, very critical. And then, of course, so that's a basic will. Now, for some people who have a lot of assets, you're going to have trust, estate planning. Definitely, you want to utilize an attorney to be able to do that for you. So, but a minimum, you want to have a will, living will, and medical power of attorney. And again, I want to just talk about it. Yes,
that's so
Miss Owens, go right ahead.
I was going to say, I was just going to add that is so important as you get older. Because I know with my mom, she was from that generation that she had everything, life insurance, will, medical power attorney. She had, financial power attorney. So she was covered. And that is very important as you're, because when you get to that certain age, you may be in a position where you can't make decisions for yourself. So you need someone else to do that for you. And I didn't realize that that was a part of the will process. So that's very good information. But I know you can get those things, medical power of attorney and financial power of attorney outside of the will. But I didn't realize that that could be a part of the will as well. The will, getting the will done process. That's good information to know.
Absolutely, definitely. Thanks for the feedback there, Ms. Owens. Okay, one of the other thing is, talk about financial planning. The will component is very important. So again, that's why you have me on today to be able to share the importance of having the will with that whole financial planning process with the individual. And talk about probate. So again, if, like I said, if you don't have a will, the state is going to provide one for you. You may not like who the states select, but the will is going to go through probate. And if you have a will in place beforehand, the process is going to be a lot smoother for your family. Okay. And again, if you don't have a will, it becomes very cumbersome. You may have a lot of infighting going on. Nobody knows who gets what. So it makes the process a lot simpler. And the other thing about not having a will, and somebody die and it has to be probated, then it costs a lot of money if you don't have a will. So a lot of that money that will be going to the heirs end up, being paid to the lawyers. Okay. So if our listener today, if you get nothing of what we're saying today, if you have a will already, congratulations. If you don't have one, I would recommend you get one, especially right now with COVID-19. We don't know, when, something going to happen where we're unable to do the will at the moment. So definitely want to get your will done. Yes, absolutely. Okay. And one of the other things within the will is, you can also, once the will is done, you can put a letter of instruction, and all it says is specifically, if you wanted to give anybody in particular something with, that you have in your household to be able to, have their name on there. So you can add that to your will also. So in a nutshell, Ms. Owens, that's kind of what I want to share with everyone. The will process it's not a difficult process. And just to do a commercial for our company, Legal Shield, with our program, we provide a will, living will, also medical power of attorney. We just amazing value with our services. So again, if you want to learn more about what Legal Shield does in terms of the will that we're able to put together, get back Ms. Owens. She can share more with you. But I'm really excited about what we do. And, past couple of years, I've kind of made it my mission while I'm out there educating people about the importance of getting the will, really talking about it, because it's so important to have. So I've heard a lot of stories, and I'm pretty sure our listener on the call have heard a lot of stories themselves where people didn't have a will. And because they didn't have a will, now, siblings don't talk to each other, brothers don't talk to each other anymore, because now they just don't know who gets what. So having that will in place is so critical. So I really appreciate you having me on today. So I will delighted to take some questions, Ms. Owens, either from you, Ms. LaSalle, or maybe your viewers, if they have any questions.
Well, I know one thing about wills too is that you want to, when we're talking about retirement and having everything in place and being prepared and ready to retire, having peace of mind that we've done everything that we've that we should do. Of course, there's always things that we might forget or whatever, but sit down and plan and have checklists and things. One of the things, when you have a will, make sure your loved ones know where it is. The original documents, you can give copies to them all you want to, but they need to know where the original will documents are, because when it comes down to going into probate and into court, they want the original will. They don't want a copy. They want the original will. Okay. When it comes to medical power of attorney, when you get to the age of where you're not able to really take care of yourself when you're in your mid 80s, 90s, or whatever, when you go to the hospital, have to go to the emergency room or whatever, that's what those intake people want to see, the doctors want to see, is who has they're going to ask you that question, who has the medical power of attorney? I am living, experienced that with my mom. I was my mom's medical power of attorney, and we're actually still in probate with her will. With COVID, it's been terrible. But all those things you want to have in place when you're doing your planning. So make sure that when you do all this, when you're doing all your planning, that your family knows, your children know where all your important documents are as well. So,
Ms. Owen, let me just expand. I'm sorry, I'm going to expand on one more thing you just said about where you have that will. And I know some people, sometimes they'll put in a safety deposit box. Well, it's very important you make sure the person that's going to be the executor of the will knows how to get in that safety deposit box, because that could become a lot of delay and court battle if they get in that safety deposit box. The other thing, if you're going to keep the will at home, it's been said to at least have the original somewhere outside your home, because if your home gets flooded, the will get destroyed. So at least you want to make sure you have an extra copy. But what's going to be held up, by the court once you decease is the original will. Very, very important. Let the person who's on the will as executive there to know exactly what the will is. So very important. Also, if you've been married if you've been married 2 or 3 times, that you get kids with both different spouses, it's so important to have a will, because if you don't have a will, something happened to you, it can become very complicated to be able to sell real estate, sell your business. So again, very happy you have me on your show today to talk about a very important document that needs to be in place, especially in the time we're in today.
Yes. And, we're out of time. I do want to thank everyone who is watching or listening to us today. This has been eye-opening, and I wrote a lot of notes for myself, medical power of attorney, will, living will, DNR. There's a love letter to my family. This really hit home. Thank you so much for all your information. And, we're here live every single week, so please come back. There's replays of the shows that we've had before, and we look forward to seeing you again.
Like our page.
Yeah,
Thank
definitely.
you.
Bye
Thank you,
for
Ms.
now.
Owen. Thanks, everyone,
Bye,
for listening. Bye-bye.